Yeah, so let's have a quick look at this one then. All right, so this one actually is not a difficult question. It's just confused you a little bit, I think. It says you see it on a motorway, right?
Yeah.
So think about this for me. You're on a motorway, right? Which is, fast-moving place where lots of traffic are. Um, and you can't really pull over on a motorway, can you?
No.
Unless you've broken down or there's an emergency situation. That's the first thing. So you know that you're not going to pull up on the hard shoulder, that's for sure, because to have a answer your phone or have a break, that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
So there's no way you're going to pull up on the hard shoulder, but unless that's happened to you. So if you look on the overhead signs as you drive along the motorway, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They call them a gantry. Actually, is
Mm.
the nickname they sometimes give to it. It looks a bit like this, if this is the motorway. Okay, I'll give it 3 lanes. And then what they do is they have this thing comes up and it goes right over, like that.
Yeah.
And then they have information on the here telling you maybe speed limits or something. So you get this here, arrow. This is what's
Yeah.
happened to you. So it's basically telling you to move to the other lane.
Yeah.
You see? So this is you here now, and you're driving along and you see this overhead sign, and it's telling you now for whatever reason you've got to move over to here. And that could be for various reasons. And what do you think? What could be causing them to move you from one lane to another? What do you think is the reason for that?
That lane's closed.
Yeah, that lane's going to be closed, isn't it? So
Mm.
you're going to find that that lane's closed for maybe some reason. It could be an accident, of course, or they may be doing some roadworks and they've decided to move traffic over. So you'll get this information, of course, ahead of time. So you can, get over. You don't need to do it immediately. You can just, mirror, signal, and check your side mirror, of course. And you have to be very careful, just so you know, on motorways because the traffic behind you is going to be coming at you very, very fast, up to
Yeah.
70 miles per hour. And of course, sometimes people drive faster than 70 miles per hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's the real danger attached to changing lanes, actually. And it's worth mentioning at this point because obviously, as a driving school, we're not allowed in Northern Ireland to take you on the motorway, which is a
Hmm.
bit silly. And we're not allowed to get you up to 70 miles per hour. So you're only restricted to what speed, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what speed you're restricted to for even when you pass your test?
Is it 45?
Yeah, it's 45. Exactly. So yeah, it can be dangerous on motorways changing lanes, especially at 45. So that it's very highly unlikely you'll ever want to be in the overtaken lanes at 45 miles per hour. All right, you're not going to be doing that. It's kind of like what we talked about earlier with the trailers, didn't we? We talked about a trailer, and the reason why the trailer doesn't go into the far right lane is why?
Yeah.
Why does a trailer not go into the far right lane?
Oh, because uh the trailer kind of get on like out of control. What like, is it changing lanes or too
Well,
fast? Too
yes, it's
fast.
to do with speed, isn't it? So,
So
how
yeah.
fast can a trailer go, and fast can a car go when it's towing a trailer on a motorway? That's the question, really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How fast can they go?
60.
Yeah, so that's why they wouldn't want to be over in that far right lane, the overtaken lane, would they?
Yeah.
No, the most of the trailer's going to be is in that middle lane there on a 3-lane motorway.
Hmm.
Because it's not going to be in the fastest in that far right lane because that's going to be traffic that can travel at the maximum speed limit. So you as a new driver is not going to be there either.
Yeah.
It's not a good place to be because of the fact that you're going to be forcing traffic to come up and pass you on the left side, which is not allowed, is it?
Hmm.
On an ordinary situation, they're not allowed to do that unless it's a traffic jam or something like that, and you have no option but to pass on the inside of a car or the left side of a car. But yeah, so that's a different subject. But yeah, just try to remember now that if you're asked to change lanes, that is actually a very tricky maneuver and requires you to be very careful,
Hmm.
especially if you're a new driver. You have to get used to the judging the speed of vehicles, that's approaching you from behind, of course. And
Yeah.
remember, the two different types of mirror you have is the plane mirror for the inside of the car, and the mirror on the outside of the car is a convex mirror, which makes objects seem further away than what they really are. So that's why you have to be extra careful when you're changing lanes using that outside mirror, because it kind of tells you lies a little bit. It makes objects seem further away than what they really are. And it's a really good point for anyone, to remember. Okay,
Yep.
let's have a look at the next question. Get rid of these diagrams first. They're not very good, but it's using a mouse is difficult for me anyway. Okay, so what should you do when you see an older person about to cross the road ahead? All right, it's a very common thing. This, so old people and the very, under 12-year-olds have a tendency to get themselves into trouble crossing the road. And of course, the elderly person is slightly different reason for getting themselves into trouble. They think they're still young, maybe.
Yeah.
And then when they start to move off the curbside, they realize that they're not young anymore, and their legs don't move as fast as they as they think, and the vehicle that's approaching them is obviously hard to judge anyway, the speed of a vehicle, but it gets even more difficult as your eyes fail and your judgment starts to give you trouble. So the problem you have here with the answer that you've given is according to the highway code, you're actually not allowed to stop and wave people across the road. So that's actually not allowed.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, you can see that as a genuine case of someone's been, you're past your test and you're driving, you've got experience, and you might want to do that. However, on a driving test, for example, this is never going to be allowed because of the fact that if you wave someone across the road, the vehicle that's coming behind you might not understand the situation. So let me just give you a quick example of this if I can. So this is the side of the road, and this is This is the car that's in front of you. All right. This is the center of the road, and this is you here. And of course, for example, this situation can be quite common. You're late for work, or you're parent taking your kids to school, and you're running late. These are all common things to happen. And this driver, the car A, for example, has noticed a pedestrian that's on the side of the road now. They haven't actually started the cross yet because that's different scenario. They're on the curb. So they haven't started the cross, which is different. When they step onto the road, the rules change a bit. But let's go with this one first of all. Now, if this driver A waves this smaller person, say, for example, or you could be a bigger vehicle, and across the road, and the person decides, okay, this is an adult, if it's a child especially, and says, okay, this is an adult telling me it's okay to go, you see,
Yeah.
and then they run.
Yeah.
At the same time, this scenario is taking place with you, vehicle A and the pedestrian that you've now waved across the road by mistake because you didn't pay attention to this lesson. And this is you, B, and you're late for work, or you're taking your kids to school someday, and you're in a hurry. And this
Yeah.
vehicle just decides, according to what you see, stop in front of you. What do you do? What might you do, should I say?
Should stop.
You might stop behind this vehicle, but you might also do something else.
Overtake.
You might just go like that, boom, in a hurry, boom. I'm not care. I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is pedestrian has just now run right in front of you.
Hmm.
There's why you don't wave people across the road.
Yeah.
There's a lots of variations of this story, of course. I can give you different ways that could justify it, but we'll just stick with the basic thing at the moment for your experience in driving, that it's not allowed, that you shouldn't stop and wave someone across the road.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Happy days. Okay, on a vehicle, where would you find a catalytic converter? My goodness, I said it properly for once. Okay, I don't get that one right very often.
Yeah.
Catalytic converter. Yeah, so. Well, it's to do basically to back to the save the world and the atmosphere, and we have talked previously about how it's not very good to breathe in lead. through, petrol and diesel, the carbon that's inside them. They're not good for not good for us humans. So
Mm.
this is designed to clean them. An expensive piece of equipment, a catalytic converter. And yeah, they're designed to clean the fumes as they come through the exhaust system so that they go into the air and don't put any or as much pollutants in the air. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
So try and remember if you got a catalytic converter. Yeah. Okay, next one then. You're driving with your fog lights switched on. What should you do if the fog is cleared? Well, this question sometimes comes up actually on the driving test. The examiner might ask a question like, okay, so show me how to use your fog lights. So that's a show me question. And then they might say, well, tell me when should you use them? You see?
Hmm.
So there is a distance attached to it, a number. Do you remember what it is?
Um,
It does come up in the test as well, so it's a relative question, so as well as the driving test. So do you know what the number is that they have
mm,
attached to this distance, if you like?
no.
Do you know who Usain Bolt is?
Yeah.
What does he do?
Run
Yeah, what distance?
100 meters.
There you go. That's the distance.
Yeah.
There's a memory trigger for you. You can picture Usain Bolt,
Yeah.
100 meters. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a good. Well done. That's a good one. So basically, what they're saying to you from a law point of view is you shouldn't have your fog lights on unless your visibility is reduced to that. Do you see?
Yeah.
Or any more than that, should I say? Anyway, 100 meters is the key number to remember. That's the distance that's attached to this question. But anyway, so it says quite clearly you're driving with your fog light switched on. If the fog has cleared, and you can now see the 100 meters distance, okay? Quite clearly, or up to 100 meters, quite clearly. So
Yeah.
it's cleared. So you switch them off as long as the visibility remains good. All right, let's try the next one, 15. You've just passed your first practical driving test. What will you have to do if you get 6 penalty points on your license in the next 2 years? Oh, that's bad news. 6 penalty points, not good. So you see, the problem with it is they make you go right back to the starting gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like snakes and ladders, unfortunately, all the way back to zero. You've got to take everything. You've got to take your theory test again and the practical test. Whoa, that's a bad one, isn't it?
Hmm.
After all the hard work, passing the theory test and then the driving test, and you decide to go out and your first year driving or get yourself into trouble. And guess what? There we go. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that. I'm sure it wouldn't happen to you anyway. Anyway, it's a good one to remember though. 6 points means that you go back to the starting point, and that's within the first 2 years of driving. Okay, so you arrive at the scene of a motorcycle crash and the rider is injured. When should their helmet be removed? Well, we have talked about this before, that the helmet shouldn't really come off. The vehicle, the rider, if they're because sometimes the damage can be made worse by the removal of the helmet, you see. So that's why the better answer there is only when it's essential. I mean, of course, the rider is, if they're asking you to remove it, they're compos mentis and all the rest of it. So they're clear. They're not unconscious, but they might be damaged. They might be injured. So you could probably advise them to keep it on until there's a point when it's redeemed to be that you haven't got a neck injury or something that's going to, in particular neck injury and spinal injury. You see, that's any movement there after you've had that bad injury could cause severe damage to your nervous system, you see.
Mm.
So therefore, that's why they went for this only when it's essential. In other words, if the rider, can you think when it might be essential for you to remove the motorcyclist's helmet?
Uh,
Do you know when it might be essential for you to do that?
no.
Well, what do you do if you approach a casualty in any situation and you've got to find out are they still breathing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Remember the old system with the first aid, airways, breathing, and circulation. ABC is a good way to remember it. But yeah, I mean, if you approach a casualty in a situation and you've got to determine if they're unconscious, are they breathing?
Mm.
They may have stopped breathing for some reason, and so you've got to try to clear the airway, which is the means of air getting into the body through the nose and the mouth. One of those has got to be clear enough for them to get some oxygen. And so, if the rider, God forbid, would be in such condition that you need to remove that helmet to try to resuscitate them, you see, to bring them,
Mhm.
put some air into their body,
Yeah.
then that would mean the helmet would definitely have to come off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what essential is meant then. Only when it's essential, because if the breathing is stopped, we've got to get that breathing going again. And we can do that from the XLD resuscitation, EAR, or cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now, these are two things that you might not have come across before. They might come up in this test, the names of them, but when you're playing this video back, you can have a wee look on yourself. If you want to learn more about resuscitation, by all means do so. It's a great thing to know how to do, is to be able to help a person regain their breath and consciousness and possibly save a life, actually. So, yes, why not? All right, let's move on to the next one then. So, where are the amber? Oh, reflective studs found on the motorway. We have talked about these studs a lot.
I definitely I was gonna go there and then changed it.
Oh, come away with that. You did not. Did you change your answer after you got it right the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Look, you got to just be confident that you look out the left window, you see the red ones. If you're
Yeah.
if you're on the left lane, and if look out the window and you see white ones, it means that's the lane markings. But if you look out the right window and you see amber, that the right window is going to be where the central reservation is, isn't it? That's the centerpiece of the dual carriageway motorway.
Yeah.
The grass and the dual carriageway and probably a big stone barrier if it's a motorway. But there'll
Mm.
be those coloured studs there. Amber.
Yeah.
Amber's on the right, red's on the left, and white separates the lanes. And of course, the slip road is what colour?
Green.
Yes, there we go. We'll get there. Remember the same colours that you'll find on a set of traffic lights, you'll find on the motorway. Green, amber, and red. Yes, and the white
Yeah.
ones are your cat's eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go at 33 then. What should you do when you meet an oncoming vehicle on a single track road? Now, a single track road means what? What does that actually mean?
Uh, one way.
Look, it means that you meet an oncoming vehicle, so it's not
Oh.
one way. It's a narrow road, isn't it?
Oh, not road.
It's a very narrow road, and a very narrow road which has only got room for one vehicle at a time in certain areas. So they then create a little, they cut into the hedge a little bit or something, or cut into the field a little bit to make a passing place, so that on a very narrow road, that's called a single track road, you'll find that there'll be passing places for vehicles to pull in to allow you to a large vehicle or a vehicle to pass.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Do you get
Yeah.
the idea?
Mm.
It looks a bit like this then. Okay, if you think about it, it would come across like this. There's your road and there's your passing place. You see that? This is a normal road, and this is you, and you're coming this way, and of course this vehicle is coming this way. Now you can see there's no room,
Yeah.
so then you would pull in here for a moment to allow this vehicle to pass. And I would pull in with a signal as well. Leave the right signal on to show that you intend to move again. In case a vehicle
Mm.
comes up behind you, you'd need to be
Yeah.
aware of that. Okay, so is that okay?
Yep.
It's a single track road. It's it means a narrow road with only limited space, and therefore they put little places like this. Now, there could be one on the other side as well, just so you know. There could be one like that for the lorry to pull in, but whatever. You take the option of pulling in a few to be on the safe side. Happy?
Yep.
All right. Clear all drawings. And here we go again then. 40. What type of a road surface may anti-lock brakes be ineffective? So, first of all, what's anti-lock brakes? What
Um,
is anti-lock brakes? Now, I know it says it might give you some clue in the name now, but it's not necessarily the whole picture. So, anti-lock brakes, what does that road surface, what are they trying to find out here?
um,
Hmm? What are they trying to find out? What does anti-lock brakes do, first of all? Now, you've done an emergency stop before, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And most modern vehicles are fitted with anti-lock brake systems, okay? It'd be very rare for you to be in one that doesn't. But you might be, of course, but someday. So
Mhm.
anti-lock brake systems do what?
Brake. Oh, lots of brakes.
Yes, well, I did mention that you might be in a vehicle that doesn't have anti-lock braking system, so I'll explain it to you a little bit like this then. So before the anti-lock braking system came into play, if you were using your brake to stop in an emergency, you would find that when you brake hard, the car might start to skid, you see. And so
Hmm.
what you would do is you'd release the pressure from the brake and then reapply it. And
Yeah.
that's what we would have called, the technical name's condensed braking, but we nicknamed it pumping the brake.
Yeah.
You know, just to stop the car from keeping skidding, if that makes sense. It stops the skid. Because if you're skidding, you're not slowing down, you see. You're actually still sliding along the road, like if you're on a bit of ice or something. So
Yeah.
that leads me to ice and snow and loose surfaces. Now, okay, so it doesn't matter how good a driver you are. If you brake too hard and you start to slide on snow or ice, you will find the vehicle will go out of control. Now, what they're trying to tell you is the anti-lock braking system we that they're trying to ask the question about is that when you brake, instead of having to take your foot off the brake like you did in the old system, the condensed braking system or the pump and brake system, is the vehicle itself. When you brake heavy, the brake system itself will release the pressure enough to break the skid. You don't need to take your foot off the brake at all. So when you start braking in a car that has anti-lock braking system and you brake the quick and firm, all right, you never brake easy. You brake quick and firm, and you continue to apply the pressure until the vehicle stops. So you never take your foot off the brake in that situation. All right. So that's how they work. Now, everything changes when you drive on snow, ice, and loose mud or something, okay? There's nothing will stop the vehicle really from sliding or skidding, you know, except you traveling slow enough to deal with the conditions, or maybe not driving on those conditions at all would be a good idea. But what they're trying to find out, do you know that? Do you know that your anti-lock brake system will not be good on surfaces which have got those slippiness attached to them? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anti-lock brake system is what you will be driving in most modern cars. All right, that's what they're trying to find out. Do you know that when you brake heavy on snow, ice, or loose surfaces, your anti-lock braking systems won't be effective the way they would be on a normal road?
Yeah.
That's all they would need to find out. All right.
Hmm.
48 then is the picture. I'll go to full screen for you, and then let's just have a look to see what it looks like. A vehicle approaching a roundabout. I'll bring it back a little bit, and let's just see what's on the road. Pause here. And of course, you can do this as well when you're doing the test. You can, bring it up and pause it. You can see the road markings on the approach to the roundabout are telling you that you have to be in certain lanes to reach a certain destination. Can you see that? The
Yeah.
left lane is telling you A61, for example. See, A61.
Hmm.
Let's have a look to see what else it says here. Okay, good. So I'm going to just exit full screen and see. Um, if you approach the roundabout, there's a sign showing a single white bar on a green background. What does this sign tell you? So, even though we've looked at the road markings to see, they do ask that question actually in this clip. They ask you, well, what lane should you be in to go to a certain destination? So I wanted to show you that. So that's not the question. This occasion, it's actually asking you that as you approach a roundabout, there's a sign showing a single white bar on a green background. So You go all the way back to the beginning. And there we go. There's it there. See?
Yeah.
Let me just change it up a little bit and I'll put another white line on it. If it was another white line, what would that mean then? And one line is 100 meters, 100 yards, sorry,
300.
200. And then if there was a third one, it would be 300. So obviously this is all the way back. If you go all the way back here, you'll find there will be one that'll have 2. If you go all the way back, there'll be one that'll have 3.
Yeah.
See? 3, 2, 1. That's how it works. They give you a breakdown. You see that they try to give you the knowledge to how close you're to the hazard, being in this occasion a roundabout.
Yeah.
See, as you approach it. So that's classed as a hazard in driving a roundabout. Or junction, all junctions are hazard, of course, but the roundabout, yeah, is a major hazard, isn't it? So as you come up to it, it's important to be in the correct lane for the destination you want to go to. So they might ask that question: what lane should you be in to go to a certain destination? And that's also something that comes up in this test. So just be aware of that, and don't be afraid to pause and use the video to satisfy your requirements to get the information you need. That's what it's there for. So the roundabout is 100 yards. So they still use yards on these white markers, which is in the old measurement. It's just nearly the same as a meter, so it's not really a big drama of a difference. That's why they haven't bothered to change it, to be honest with you. So yeah, is that okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so well done, you. I just stop this video now, and we'll have a little chat about the preparation for going forward very shortly. So, but yeah, very good test actually. So well done, you.